he was clearly factoring in the government responsibility and the role of corporations. One of the hats that I'm pleased to wear, and I'll just speak briefly about this in conclusion, is chair of the Institute for Human Rights in Business, which was established in 2009 and which takes some of these initiatives forward as a permanent initiative focusing on the dilemmas and the possibilities of deepening and clarifying the appropriate roles of business. In just a few years, it has already provided useful insights into ongoing business and human rights discussions and is serving as a trusted space for bringing together business, government and civil society to address specific challenges. So let me again give you the website reference. It's www.ihrb.org, the International Institute for Human Rights and Business. I believe more such collaborations where stakeholders come together to pressure governments to address real-world challenges where business activity is clearly involved is a vital strategy for the future. It can help in building government capacity and contribute to greater policy and practice clarity around the specific responsibilities business should be carrying out to ensure that at a minimum its actions do not undermine respect for rights and indeed can contribute to realizing these rights in people's lives. So once again, I warmly congratulate Ms. Ina Onuk on this conference, and I welcome the fact that it is a serious leadership contribution. Business, if it acts responsibly, is part of the answer to ongoing human rights challenges. But companies will need expert support and critical guidance in monitoring their own progress and dealing with emerging issues at national level. And governments will continue to need greater capacity to implement their human rights obligations, including the duty to protect against abuses involving business and have independent assessments of their progress in this area. The bottom line is that there is still a great deal to be done. The publishing and adoption of these guidelines at the UN Human Rights Council sets a framework for us. So all of us, I think, who are interested in this area need to stay engaged. And I personally have and will continue to have a really strong interest because I have seen the difference it makes. I have seen that when the private sector gets seriously and responsibly engaged, it is enormously important in the 21st century. So I warmly congratulate the organizers, as I said, and wish you all well in your deliberations. And I'm very happy to answer any questions now in a few moments or to receive your comments. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Your Excellency. At this time, we'd like to open the mics, and if you have any questions, I'm sure President Mary Robinson would take them, or if you have any questions for our chief host, the floor is open. Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Wayne Visser, CEO of CSR International. I wanted to ask about the various initiatives such as the Global Compact and now the Human Rights Framework. One of the big criticisms is that they don't have any teeth. And so it's actually quite easy for companies to sign up and to seem to comply, but actually they don't fundamentally change the practices of business. And I wondered what your thoughts were on that.
Thank you for your question, because I think you express a concern that I've heard expressed quite often, that the UN Global Compact, because it's voluntary and deals with principles, can become a little bit of what sometimes the non-governmental organizations have called blue rinse. In other words, corporations can say they're members of the Global Compact, but does this make a difference to what they're doing on the ground? And certainly, both as High Commissioner for Human Rights, because my office was involved in monitoring implementation of the first two principles in particular, upholding the Universal Declaration and not being listed as violation, that worried me. We tried to put a lot of emphasis on the second principle, not to be complicit in violation. And we wanted to have more rigor and to persuade the UN Global Compact Office that even though it was voluntary, it had to have effective standards. And in recent years, in fact, corporations have been delisted, either because they're not reporting as they should be on what they're doing, or in one or two cases they were delisted because they clearly had shown conduct which was not appropriate to a corporation participating in the UN Global Compact. But that still leaves the compact without any teeth, as you say, in a real sense. And that's why I was stressing what I believe is the importance of aligning the membership of the Global Compact with the guiding principles of Professor John Ruggie once they are endorsed, as they are currently being, by the Human Rights Council. Because we're talking UN, we're talking UN Global Compact in New York, we're talking UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, but it's all a UN standard. So it does seem appropriate that corporations who have signed up to the Global Compact should consider themselves as having signed up also to the guiding principles, which are simply fleshing out and interpreting and putting in a context the first two principles of the Global Compact. So I think this will be a very big debate in the Global Compact over the next few years. But I've recently stepped down from the board of the Global Compact after nearly 8 years. And while I was a member of the board of the Global Compact, I chaired the Human Rights Working Group. And the Human Rights Working Group has a very active webinar, and we have discussions with about 80 participants from different parts of the world at regular meetings. And I'm sure that this will be a hot topic over the coming months, how closely the UN Global Compact will become aligned with the much more rigorous standards, if you like, of the guiding principles.
Yes, ma'am.
Morning, Jumoke Oduwole. Just piggybacking on what Wayne said, when you think about the WTO, since Mr. Ruggie is in Geneva now, what place do you think human rights has in the trade rules? The negotiations keep going on and